Do you want to talk business? Do you want to talk billion-dollar business as it relates to the music industry and your favorite artists? Let's do it. Let's talk about catalogs because that is one of the most important things that shape the way the entire industry works today. Why should you care about it as a consumer? Why should you care about it as a person who has some curiosity about the music business itself? What does it signal to the larger industry? And how does it connect to the future and the present? But most importantly, how does it affect the artists that we listen to today? Those are the questions that I'm going to answer for you. We're going to do a little music business lesson, and then we're going to connect it to our favorite artists and talk about how this has played an important role in all the events that have taken place over the past few years and all the events that we are going to see in 2026. If you've been here before, you already know what time it is. I go by the name Jay Roebuck. If it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to the family. At the end of the video or even while you are watching, make sure you jump in the comment section because I value your opinion, whether you agree or disagree with me. But I won't hold you any longer. Let's get right into it. So to frame this conversation, I have to explain why the catalog is so important. And the catalog is so important. And when we think about a catalog, I want you to think about all the records, all the masters, all the albums that are a part of your artist's legacy. That's their catalog, the things that they carry with them. Now, oftentimes they don't own their catalogs due to deals, or sometimes they have to buy them back. But that is why they are valuable to either the label or to the artists themselves, outside of the artistic representation. I'm just talking from the business aspect right here. Now, that's important to a label because that is how they make money. Right now, the industry generates income through two major ways. The first is streaming or pro rata streaming. How much a person like you or I plays a song on their phone, in their car, or on any DSP. The second is through data. What data do they have about us as consumers, about our spending habits, our listening habits? What ads do we click on? What ads do we click through? How old are we? Where are we located? All of that data is valuable to companies. So those are the two models in which record labels make the large parts of their money. So now we have to tie this back in. What does this have to do with artists selling their catalogs? And what does this have to do with the way that artists operate in the game right now? To see how this affects artists in the game and why it's important to them, we have to look at the big dogs. That tells us exactly what every artist should be fighting for. Jay-Z has spoken about this for a long time. Kanye West has spoken about this for a long time. But let's look at Drake, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Taylor Swift. You see, they have a lot in common. They have fought to gain the rights to their back catalog. Not 100% successful all the time, but that is what they are fighting for. So Drake does not own 100% of Take Care, which is his most valuable album, and we're going to discuss that in a bit. But he wants to own it because it is valuable, and we're going to talk about why in a second. Taylor Swift just got the rights back to her first 6 albums, the back catalog, and this was like a decade-long battle. She was able to get them back from Scooter Braun. Kendrick Lamar is the same thing. He was signed to Top Dog Entertainment, which fell up under UMG. And we know when he went silent for a long period of time, there was some negotiation going on with whether he was going to get those rights back. And I'm not sure where the deal stands right now, but I don't think that he owns some of his first studio albums, which are his most valuable back catalog. But moving forward, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole, they own their masters, and that's what they fought and earned after having long, successful careers. Okay, so let me get to the point, because I know you're asking, like, why does this matter to me right now? I want you to take a look at the Billboard 200 right now, and look at the 200 top-selling albums in the world. 10 of those albums belong to Drake. 10 albums charting on the Billboard 200 at the same time. It has never been done before. And if you look at the highest charting album that he has, it's Take Care. Take Care came out in 2011. That was 15 years ago. But right now, it is charting at number 17. You see, this business is not about who had a number 1 single or who had a number 1 album. It's not about who has a stadium tour or an arena tour. It's not about who won the battle or who lost the battle, because the playing field is much larger than you can ever imagine. And if you're a consumer like myself, you need to be aware of the game that you're participating in. Because while we're typing away on social media or making YouTube or TikTok content, All of these things that we're doing are a part of a much larger ecosystem. And if you look at Drake as the example that I'm using right now, and people ask, why doesn't Drake just go independent? Why doesn't Drake just walk away from UMG? It's difficult. Why doesn't Drake just buy back his masters? Do you think a company like UMG, who is eating off of an album that came out 15 years ago, that they no longer need to promote, that they no longer need to pour money in, wants to sell that back to someone or wants to let that artist just walk away? If you had a cash flowing asset in your pocket that required no work, would you let it walk away? And this asset puts out new music, which helps make the old catalog even more valuable because when people hear new music from an artist, they go back and listen. Would you let that walk away? The back catalog is where the money is at. And this is not just true for Drake. This is true for all artists, especially the artists that are in the top tier right now. Facts. Now, again, we can remove Drake from the equation if you would like, right? If you want to talk about Kendrick, if you want to talk about J. Cole, when Kendrick Lamar signed that new deal, I think April of 2024, what do you think that he was fighting for? He wanted to own those records that he went on to put out. Not Like Us, which is his most critically acclaimed now song. How much money do you think that that is going to generate for years and years and years to come? He doesn't have to promote it ever again. He did the Super Bowl, all of these things. He will eat forever. J. Cole, Forest Hill Drive. Why do you think that he wants to own those things? Obviously, you want to have ownership over your IP, but the catalog will always continue to grow. People are streaming, newer artists and newer music more than they're streaming music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. The people who consume that music or who grew up on it don't look to streaming as their main source of listening. Those are just the facts. So it's not far-fetched to believe that Drake's catalog is worth this. It literally just makes logical sense. So we've explained, why these catalogs are valuable and how they continue to make money over time, even if you don't have to continue to invest in them, because this is just a natural state of consumerism. We grow with these artists, we will continue to listen to them. As new people come in, and new people come of age, they will go back and listen to older music. They will grow with these artists as well. So the catalog is valuable. So this is why we've seen a number of artists begin to sell their catalogs or leverage their catalogs or go into venture partnerships with their catalogs because they're cashing out. They're selling at the high. You can look at The Weeknd, who just did, I believe, like $1 billion deal. Nelly sold 50% of his catalog. Justin Bieber, Future, Dr. Dre, Bob Dylan, Sting. A lot of artists are cashing out because they want to take that upfront money or take a loan against the catalog so that they don't have to wait for these things to come in over and over again. Now that's the artist side, but why are businesses like private equity firms or even international people like private equity firms in China, in South Korea, Japan, why are they coming in? And another big player, Saudi Arabia, I mentioned this in a previous video I did. Why are they coming in to buy catalogs as well? They want to control the market. I'm going to put back up this definition where I talked about pro rata streaming, and I'm going to, break down how this works to you. Spotify, Apple, your big DSPs where people go and listen to music. The money is pooled together. All the money's in one big pot and it's broken up. So if you say when it comes to hip hop, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Travis Scott, Playboi Carti, let's go, and NBA Youngboy, the biggest 6 artists, you can add in Rod Wave, whoever you want, the biggest 6 artists, they control 23% of the market. 23% of all streams on these DSPs or on Spotify specifically come from this group. That money gets paid out to the label and then the label pays out the artist. So these companies that are buying catalogs want to control as much market share as possible. They want to buy up these catalogs and go into deals with these artists so that they control the revenue stream. All the money in that pot, they want as much as possible. So when we talk about why certain artists are so valuable, it's because they control a large share of the market. This is the big shift that happened in streaming in 2016 when Drake went into this deal with Apple. He changed the entire landscape of how the music business works. Streaming is king. Streaming is king. Radio will always be dominant in certain areas, but when it comes down to the money, when it comes down to how these labels are generating billions of dollars, it's through streaming and data. And that is why companies want to come in and do these deals because they can continue to take more and more out the pot with each catalog that they begin to buy up. It's that simple. People don't want to invest in newer artists because it's cheaper to eat off revenue streams that have been around for 10 or 15 years that continually make money hand over fist. It's no new albums that are destroying the charts. It's older work that we consider classics. That is what people are eating off of. We talk big business, but how does it affect you and what you're listening to? I'm going to discuss how I feel, and you tell me if you feel similar. I miss an album that is 12 to 15 songs. Hey, 10 to 14 songs that are 3 to 5 minutes, no fillers, just great music. Get Rich or Die Trying is one of my favorite albums. Graduation is one of my favorite albums. Life After Death is one of my favorite albums. No fillers, just heat. But why, when I open a project, even from some of my favorite artists, do I have 22 and 24 songs? Why am I opening a song that's 1 minute and 30 seconds? I love Chris Brown. Why, when I listen to a Chris Brown album, I can't get through the whole album because it's 42 songs? It's the problem that I've been discussing. Let me not call it a problem. It's the issue that I've been discussing for this entire video. Streaming. If a song is 2 minutes, you're going to go back and play it again because it's easier to repeat. And every time you listen to that song, it adds up. The shorter a song is, the quicker you get to the next song. And that adds up again. You can pack an album because you want people to continue to listen. If you put more and more songs on an album, it leads to more and more streams, which leads to more equivalent units sold. So if you want to go number one, you put a bunch of songs on an album because people will continue to listen. Is that the right way to approach art? Probably not. But that's what happens when you combine art with money and put it into capitalism. It changes the way that you produce things. So as people like you and I, if you just, you pay no attention to the business, you just say, hey, music sounds different. Artists sound different. But a lot of the times you have to understand why that is. Because the artists that you love, they care about the business. Because that's how they take care of their loved ones. And that affects the art that we consume. It's all in the same ecosystem. It's all connected. And that's why it's so important to not only talk about the music, but talk about the music business. I hope I answered your questions there. I hope I gave you some clarity on why your favorite artist might be selling or looking to sell their catalog. I hope I talked about how this affects you as a listener and as a consumer. I just always like to talk about the music business, man. It's fascinating with all the things going on with lawsuits, with battles, with new albums, and with 2026, with so many artists about to drop. Just in Q1 alone, there's so much to be excited for. And I want you to keep these things in mind as you begin to listen to some of your favorite albums, songs from this year and talk about how do you think the business affected what this person put out? I mean, listen, we're watching it with some of our biggest artists right now. So again, if you've been here before, you already know what time it is. I appreciate you. I thank you for sticking around until the end. And I have to, just continue to thank the community for helping me grow as a creator on YouTube. I really, really appreciate it. And if it's your first time here, please let me know what you think about this video. Go watch some of the older content. Let me know what you think about that because that's my back catalog. So I always want people to leave me feedback and leave their opinions. It is all appreciated and it is all love. Again, I go by the name J Roebuck. Salute.